pleasant Friday afternoon, everyone. Tell you, I've been chomping at the bit to do this video. What I'm about to share with you, this happened Monday night. And yeah, of course, I had to work, run a bunch of errands on Tuesday, then I had to work, and then Wednesday I had to work all day, and then Thursday I was worn out, didn't feel like doing anything. But now here it is, Friday, and I'm here. Yay. So, in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the proceedings of the Monday, August 6th meeting of the Guilford County Republican Party. And I will tell you that I had an amazing, awe-inspired experience that day, that night. It just really made a lasting impression on me. And it was a wonderful first impression, too. It's right up there, honestly, with, on a light note, it's kind of like my first trip to the Cheesecake Factory back in June when I was in the Nashville, Tennessee area. But on a more serious note, honestly, as far as personal events in my life, I'd probably have to put in the top 5 after... I know at least one of the events it goes for is obviously going to a weekend event back in '96 when I was 10 years old in Washington, D.C., going to a Promise Keepers, which, if you know what Promise Keepers is, it's a Christian men's ministry. And we were there, our RFK Stadium, which I think is still around, but I think the city of D.C. is going to... demolish it within the next couple of years. But back then, it was the place to be. And, of course, the Redskins were playing their last season there before they moved to FedEx Field a few miles away. But at that conference, that was where I accepted Jesus as my personal Savior. So this meeting was very, very influential. But, of course, it's never going to top, that moment where you accept the altar call to accept Jesus as your Savior. So, but this meeting, it was very good. And gosh, I remember I was in such joy that about halfway through the meeting, honestly, I started, my eyes got really watery, and honestly, I felt like I was tearing up a bit. And these were good, tears of joy, because about 2.5 years ago, I was at a Republican Party of Florida meeting, and I left that meeting very upset, and I was in tears, and I was crying the whole 30-minute drive from Universal Orlando resort area to where I was living in Oviedo at the time. But yeah, this meeting was a complete 180 from that. So it's sort of like I was going full circle, and this definitely was also a very spiritual moment for me too. But, so anyway, let me go ahead and get into the events of Monday night. I left my house here over right just north of the Piedmont Triad International Airport. And I took a very easy drive, about 10-15 minutes down I-73. And this meeting location was right off of I-73. Get off at Gate City Boulevard, and half a mile later, you're there. I really, really liked the location of this meeting venue. So I go there, and another thing I really like, and this is in my 8 years of being involved with the GOP, this is the first actual county organization that there are a couple others, but this is the first organization that I went to, was in my home county that had their own headquarters, okay? Because over the years, when I was down in Florida with Seminole County, they would always have their meetings at a community center. They also had a headquarters, but, this was actually very similar to like Brunswick County, where they had their headquarters and they had their meeting space all in the same location. New Hanover, back then we were meeting at Gentle Rapids, and now they're moving around, which is I don't recommend doing, because one month you're over at Mayfair, and then I think this month they're downtown, and that group has really, it's not the same group when I was there, and I'm not saying that's my fault, but leadership in politics is so important. And, you hear trickle-down economics. Well, you also hear of trickle-down leadership. If you have a really good leader, everything else, a really good chairman, chairwoman, everything else will take care of itself. And, certainly Rhonda Amoroso was a wonderful chairwoman. And then also Sam Ibrahim also did a very good job. But the chair they have now, who actually got reelected last year, is not doing so great. But that's enough about that. You want to hear about the meeting, don't you? Okay, so I get there, and we have a very good turnout for Guilford County being a Democrat-leaning county, and for this being it's early August. The kids don't start back to school for another, I think, about 3 weeks. A lot of people on vacation, and there was a guy told me after the meeting that they usually have double the attendance of what they had at the meeting on Monday night. But he said apparently the meeting was not posted in the right spot on the website or social media. Of course, I was able to find it, no problem. But the older people, are not as obviously technically literate as those of us in our 20s and 30s. So we get there, and met a nice guy at the desk named Bill, and he told me, sign what sheet to sign, because technically I was a guest at the time. And, of course, maybe next month or before the October meeting, I'll hopefully maybe be precinct chair, and on the executive committee. Go there. And I have to tell you, this is a very good Republican organization. That was my initial first impression. And hopefully it'll stay that way. Very, very diverse group, too, because a lot of GOP functions I've been to, 75% of the room, you see people who have gray or white hair. This was not the case, however. I would say you probably had about 30 to 40% probably more 30%, was your older, your white, your gray hair people. But then I would say probably 50% was people under 50. And, of course, people that have the darker, non-gray or white hair. And then, believe it or not, about 10 to 20% of the crowd was African Americans. And I was very pleased at that, because when I was in Seminole County, Florida, and New Hanover County, North Carolina, we usually, if it was a really, really good night, we maybe would have one African American attend. That was it. This meeting, I think I counted at least 5 African American people. Huge, or as Donald Trump would say, huge, for getting the black population into the GOP, and even at the state Republican convention back in June, I saw, I would say, at least 4 to 5 times as many black people as I did in 2014 when the state convention was in Cherokee. So it's definitely the numbers of blacks in the GOP is going way up, and that is very good, because the you look at the demographics, and you look at our numbers among Hispanics, you look at our numbers among the very affluent, wealthy, white, suburban people, not very good. But if you can get a coalition of African Americans, and you get all the working class white people and the evangelical Christians, and the GOP doesn't even have to win a majority of the black vote. They only need, I think the number I heard was, if they get like 15 to 18%, it's game over for the Democrats, basically. So, went on a little tangent there, but okay. Back to the meeting, the task at hand here. We started off, with the welcome, obviously, the Pledge of Allegiance, the prayer. I will say the prayer is very, very good. And it was a lot more longer and seriouser than some other GOP groups, because unfortunately a lot of functions I've been to in the past, they say, "Thank you, God, for everybody here. Let's all be safe." And 10 seconds later it's done. But this was probably a good 2 to 3 minute prayer. Great thing. So the speaker tonight guest speaker we had was a lady. She's about 50 years old or so, around 50-ish, maybe 45-ish, named Amy Gailey. And before you ask, no, she is not related to Chan Gailey, the former coach of the Dallas Cowboys, the former coach from Georgia Tech. No, because she spells her last name Gailey different than Chan does. Okay, just in case you were wondering, because I'm a huge football fan, and some of the listeners out there might be too. Now, Mrs. Gailey is an Alamance County Commissioner. Alamance is the county just east of Guilford. It's right between Greensboro and Durham. She was elected in 2016, and believe it or not, has already become the chair, the head dog, the big cheese of the Alamance County Board of Commissioners. So she talked about recruitment of candidates, and she told us, don't be afraid to look outside the main GOP group. She said, look for well-spoken community church leaders and invite them to GOP gatherings. And even, it doesn't have to be the official county Republican Party meeting. If they're a lady, you can invite them to a ladies club group. If they're younger, invite them to Young Republicans. If they're a man, maybe invite them to a cookout or a shooting range or something. She also said, this was kind of duh, but be very welcoming to new party members. She also said, respect seasons of life. And she also said, small kids, she said, a person that has small children shouldn't really be an elected official. That one I kind of disagree with. For me, being in politics, even when I have children, I'm still going to be in politics. And heck, I might even be an elected official then. That one you really can't, Now, maybe what she meant to say was, you really have to shelter your children. Like you had President Obama, who had 2 young children when he was in office, and he did a pretty good job sheltering them. And President Trump, he has a 10 or 11-year-old son. Apparently he's done a pretty good job of sheltering him, but of course, the left is even vicious on, I think his name's Barron. They're even vicious on Barron Trump. And she also said, hey, conflict is at the heart of politics. You're not going to agree with everybody on everything. That's another one of those kind of, no shish kebab, but it's one of those things that really, it's always good to hear as an activist. So then we proceeded with the meeting, and the chair, his name is Troy Lawson. He is African American. Yay! And he looks a little bit like Al Roker. No, not the fat '90s version. The more the millennium, the post 2000 skinny, wears dark glasses, Al Roker, celebrity lookalike. And we'll have another celebrity lookalike a little bit later on in this segment. Okay, and then I'm going to give you a little quiz at the end. Okay, strike that last part, but yeah, I made a joke. Okay, mentioned there's a new website. Basically, all you have to do is go to your search engine, type in Guilford County GOP or Guilford County Republican Party. You'll be there. Also, don't forget to like the page on Facebook. It also, that's all as important as going to the website, because the events that we're going to have are going to be on the website and also on Facebook. And then Mr. Lawson said that we're going to have a dinner/raffle event looking at either October 13th or the 27th. He made a plea to the group that if you know anybody in Guilford County, Greensboro area, who has a large space that can hold at least 100 people and has an affordable rental rate, told the group to, and I'm saying this right now to you out there in the YouTube world, to let him know. Okay. Oh, probably my favorite note of the evening was that Mr. Lawson said we want to expand the executive committee. Yay! And also, we believe it or not, we have the Planned Organization Committee chairman in the group. Yay. So now we go on to candidates for office. The first guy, his name is Rick Gunn, run for the state legislature. These are all, the Senate, excuse me. Okay, we have the NC Senate and the House. Okay, first one is Rick Gunn. He represents Western Alamance and Eastern Guilford County. He's been in there since 2011. He was elected in the Republican Revolution of 2010 election. He basically says, look, we have the best message, but do we have the messaging? Okay. Then we have Trudy Wade. Wade's been up there for a while. I think she's been in politics since 92. Not sure how long she's been in the state legislature, but probably about a decade or so. She says groups don't elect candidates, but neighbors do. And then she said that she was able to get $50,000 grants to Summerfield, Oak Ridge, and Pleasant Garden to help revitalize their downtowns. Very good. We have Clark Porter also run for the NC Senate. Let's see. We have Anita Earls, Clark Porter's mentioned Anita Earls is an activist judge, and she's going to shut down business in North Carolina. Made a plea to elect Barbara Jackson to the state Supreme Court because there's another Republican running whose name is Chris Anglin, and he is actually a plant for the Democrats. He shares his consultant works 99.9% with Democrats. He's also in Roy Cooper's circle of friends. Okay, and he was not endorsed by the NCGOP Executive Committee. Okay, so please, when you go and vote in October or November, make sure you vote for Barbara Jackson. Okay, got it, get it, good. Okay, now we'll move on to the North Carolina House. We have Sebastian King, who is speaking for John Hardister. And he says, did you know this? I did not know this, but this is a great fact. Did you know that North Carolina is the 23rd largest economy in not the United States, but the whole entire world? Okay, we have a great economy here in North Carolina. Remember that. When you go out and people aren't sure if they want to vote Republican or Democrat, tell them that 23rd largest in the world, thanks to the work of the fabulous Alibaba Hotel and Casino. No, that's a Full House joke. The fabulous Republican state legislature. Okay. So, and Mr. King said that we want the goal of being the top 20 economy. I say, heck, why stop there? Go for top 5 or top 10, you know? I think at one time California was like the number 4 economy in the world. Yeah, before that state went from red to blue back in the 90s. Anyway. And Mr. King also said he's looking for volunteers for the John Hardister campaign. He says that every Saturday after Labor Day, we're going to have, get out the vote drives, phone bank and door to door. And I say, well, depending on how contested the race is and how good the Democrat candidate is, you should, really be out there now. But anyway, I digress. John Faircloth, soon-to-be NC House member, Lord willing. And Trudy Wade is my NC Senate representative. Right now I'm represented by John Bluss, but he's retiring, and they redistricted my neighborhood into Faircloth's district. And I will tell you that Faircloth and Wade, it's weird, okay? I live in the northwest part of Greensboro. Faircloth and Wade, they both live way down there in like the south part of High Point, down in like Randolph County, okay? So their district like makes a C shape around Greensboro, which, I could do a whole hour-long video on why I hate gerrymandering, but that's what I just told you was one of the reasons. I live in northwest Greensboro. My representative lives down in Randolph County, a good 20, 30 miles away. Keep your state representation local. Congressional representation, these districts are so big to begin with, it's hard to have, if your representative lives like an hour away from you, that's really good. Most of them live 2-3 hours away, because some of these districts are really, really, really big. Okay, so, Mr. Faircloth says, look, he decided a couple years ago that, you know what, a lot of these legislatures, they go to Raleigh and they become basically a button pusher. They push, the yes button or the no button when a bill comes up to vote. But he was like, I want to do more. So he's on Appropriations Committee, which is the committee, if you don't know that word, appropriations, they manage the $23 billion state budget. And, how much goes for schools, how much goes for public safety, how much goes for transportation. Yeah, I think you get the gist now, right? Right. And he also talked about Trudy Wade and I could two-step together. He was talking about this. This is one of the most hilarious TV ads run by the environmental left about how Hardister, Faircloth, and Wade, they went to Raleigh and they did the two-step dance, and they given all this money to the energy companies and have them, destroy North Carolina and its wonderful beauty, which is, if you will do the research, it's totally false. Okay, just so you know. And we have Peter Boykin. He's a first-time candidate. Used to be a Democrat, flipped to independent. And then, let's see, flipped independent around 2012, I think he said, and then right before 2016 became GOP because he loves Donald Trump. Very, very good. And just to say that we have diversity in the GOP, he is openly gay. just so you know. And I've heard his name before. Apparently he's a big political commentator or something. I'm trying to look more into his background and what kind of political commentating he does. But he seems like a pretty cool person. Next we have a young lady. I'm 32. I don't know exactly how old she is, but she's probably in her late 20s. Named Elisa Batts. And she's running for the NC House. It is a very urban, very Democrat district. And she's running up against the ferocious socialist, Pricey Harrison. And what you should know about Miss Batts is when I first saw her up on stage, I had to do a double take because I thought that I was seeing, she looks an awful lot, ready for Celebrity Lookalike number 2, she looks an awful lot like Nina Rapetta. And if you don't know who that is, she was Bessie on Dawson's Creek. And she also did a few episodes of Matlock. And basically, and a couple of TV movies in there, but basically all her work that Nina Rapetta has done has all been in the Wilmington area. And now I think she kind of retired from film, mainly because unfortunately, sadly, one of the reasons why Pat McCrory lost re-election for governor was he gutted the film incentive program in North Carolina. So all the stuff that should be going to Wilmington is going to Louisiana or Georgia now. And basically, Nina has, she really doesn't want to leave Wilmington. And I think she has a couple small children. She now plays in a band and they do stuff right around the Wilmington area, just so y'all know. But yeah, Alicia Bates, it's like Nina Rapetta. And by the way, they're both, what can I say? Pretty ladies, I have to tell you. Moving on now, Kirk Collins spoke. I don't have any notes listed for him, so I think he must have spoke for a pretty short time, and I think he kind of repeated a lot of other things. And there's nothing wrong with that, you can only say so much, right? Then we have Troy Lawson, or I should say, excuse me, chairman, and he's also chairman of the Guilford County GOP. He's also running for NC House, and I'm kind of torn. I mean, yeah, it'd be good to have him in the legislature, but he seems like such a great chairman of the Guilford County GOP. I'd hate to lose him as a chairman, so I'm kind of split about this, But he was saying what? His district goes from, if you go out of my neighborhood and you go out onto Inman Road, okay, the west side of Inman Road is John Blust, soon to be John Fairclough's district, my district. As soon as you get across Inman Road, on the other side is Troy Lawson's district. And his district goes from there, it goes all the way across Greensboro. It goes through the nice neighborhoods right there around Battleground and Lawndale and Lake Higgins, Lake Jeanette. It goes all the way into the not-so-great part of Greensboro, a.k.a. East Greensboro. So he basically said, look, I kind of got two districts in one here. And he says, look, basically when I'm campaigning, I go door to door and I ask people, I say, look, I know you're a Democrat, but what are some things that we can, Republicans, Democrats agree on? And basically throughout this research he's done, he says education, jobs, and the economy. And then he says when he was running, well, first, okay, the district was drawn last year, I think it was, and it was going to be a lady who's a Democrat versus a white, older Republican candidate. And then I think basically, or no, he said that usually that's how it is in this particular district. But then he says that, you know what, I'm tired of letting the Democrat candidates slide by scot-free in this district. And he says, look, I'm going to run in this House district. And, you know, and it's like people, he's been going to a lot of these people, especially in East Greensboro. And he's like, who are you, you know? And it's like, hey, oh, wow, somebody's knocking on my door. And it's like, hey, well, you really threw a monkey wrench in the political stature here in this district. It's like, hey, along comes Troy. And then what else did he say? Oh, yeah, he was at the ribbon cutting, groundbreaking ceremony of the very last project of the Greensboro Beltway, which is from O. Henry Boulevard, aka US 29, going east to the west over to Lawndale. And Governor Roy Cooper was there, and he said, hey, it's nice to see Troy Lawson there. And then he said the very next day, you know, nothing but silence from Governor Cooper. And Mr. Lawson goes, you must know now he thought I was a Democrat, but no, I'm a Republican. So, little cool story there. Now we kind of get into the auxiliary groups, and I can tell you, we got a lot of auxiliary groups here in Guilford County. 4 of them are women's clubs, so if you're a woman and you want to get involved in politics in Greensboro, there's no excuse. Okay. Somebody said, excuse me, one of the groups is meeting at Bill's Pizza up in Oak Ridge, which is about 10 minutes northwest of where I live. And somebody said, man, Bill's Pizza is so good. They also have a location out there towards, I think he said Pleasant Garden, one of the guys in the audience. And I looked at their website after I got home from the meeting, and they've been around since 1969, and they've been rated like best pizza. So I'm definitely going to have to go get some someday. Let's see. North Carolina Federation of Men. They're supposed to have an event down in like Carteret County in September. It's supposed to be one of those shooting gigs. And look, I'll tell you, yes, I'm pro Second Amendment, but I'm just not one of those people who really likes to go shoot guns. I'm just not. So, excuse me. But they are looking for, and again, this is something that I heard at the meeting. I'm going to go and make a plea on YouTube. They're looking for a chairman to run the North Carolina Federation of Men. So if you know anybody, let Mr. Chairman Lawson know for that. Okay. And you say, why not you, Bobby? Well, you know, I just moved to the area. I don't know very many people. And I got work. I got school. You know, I got a bunch of other political events I want to go to. So I'm a lot on my plate right now. But someday maybe I'll run the group. Next meeting is going to be on October. Excuse me. No. Next meeting is going to be on Wednesday, September 6th of the Guilford County GOP. The October meeting is going to be on October 1st. Usually all the meetings are usually in the first week of the month. Usually on a Monday. Next month's going to be on Wednesday because the first Monday in September is Labor Day. Okay. And also right before, on the eve of Election Day, the day before election, night before Election Day, they're going to have a sign deployment. That's always a fun thing because you keep your signs for your precinct and get a few more. And I have a nice big trunk on my Honda Accord. I'm going to get as many as I can and, you know, put them all over the precinct. Okay. Another thing, too, is we have an event tonight, the Guilford County Young Republicans have an event tonight at 8 p.m. So I'm going to have this video up probably by 3 o'clock this afternoon. And it's going to be at Sweet Talk. Now, where's Sweet Talk? Well, it's right next to where the Guilford County GOP meets, 5002 High Point Road, just north of the interchange with I-73. Okay. So, and by the way, if you need to register to vote, the deadline is October 12th at 5 p.m. Let's see, the last thing I'll say is that meeting was a great meeting, and it was nice and long, just the way I liked it. 8 o'clock, we started at 7. We didn't gather till 9:15. I was like, yay for a long meeting. And contrast with 2.5 years ago, when I was crying and upset all the way home. That night, I was like smiling and so happy going all the way home. Oh yeah, a song came on my iPod by the band Wallows, which my younger sister introduced me to, and I was like, hey, very good music. So anyway, wow. I was hoping to talk for 5 or 10 minutes, and I talked for, 35, 36. So anyway, I still have a few more videos I need to do. Pizza delivery, I got to finish the state convention. Oh yeah, Young Republican Convention is going to be in Raleigh at the state Republican headquarters on Hillsborough Street on Saturday, August the 25th. Starts at 11. It costs $20. You can go online to the NC Federation of Young Republicans. Your $20 includes the business session followed by lunch, and then they have a couple panel discussions with legislators and a free tour of the state Capitol and legislator building. Okay. I am the conservative Pelican, and I'll say good day.